Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Purple Curtain podcast. I'm John,
This is Rusty.
and we're just going to talk about recent news and things that have been coming out.
hmm
The obvious thing to start with is the senbatsu for
hmm
the 23rd single.
hmm
Any thoughts on this, Rusty?
Well, I think the first notable thing is there really isn't any fourth gen.
Yeah, there isn't any fourth gen.
hmm
We were talking about our thoughts on this during the last episode. I think we're both
hmm
fine with there being no fourth gen because they still don't have the kind of popularity that third gen had when they debuted. So obviously the thing to do there is for Nogizaka to start promoting those members a bit more, but I'm fine with it. I think it might be a bit
hmm
more worrying if we don't have any fourth gens on the next single.
That's true. Yeah, I'm personally fine with having no third gen for the single. I was just a little bit surprised because I was expecting them to do that. So yeah, that happened. And I think besides that, a lot of people were disappointed that Nansei didn't make it. Although the rumor we talked about last week basically kind of hinted at you. It said that either Ayane or Nansei was going to make it, and in the end, Ayane made it, but not Nansei.
Yeah, I think they did a bit better than usual in terms of bringing through new members or members who probably deserve to go in Senbatsu. I think this is actually one of the positive side benefits of members leaving. You know, obviously, I don't think anyone's happy when members that they've liked for a long time leave the group, but it does at least leave the door open for new members to come in.
hmm
I guess one thing I wanted to ask is how do you feel about Asuka as center as opposed to, say, Ika-chan or Mayan?
Well, I mean, I would obviously like to see Ikujan Center again, but I'm accustomed, I guess. I'm accustomed to Asuka Center, and I think it make a lot of sense actually, even if I do want to see Ikujan Center sometime eventually. Hopefully not for a graduation single, but just normally. But yeah, Asuka makes sense. She's very well-rounded, I guess. She just seems very suitable to be center, and it's not surprising to see her being chosen to be center again.
Yeah, I think nearly all fans must be quite happy to have Asuka as center. Um, I would have quite liked to have Ika-chan center. I said that on the last episode, but
Hmm.
I also think that we haven't heard the single yet,
Hmm.
so it's quite possible that the single just inherently suits Asuka more than Ika-chan anyway.
Possibly. hmm
We haven't heard it yet. I think one of the reasons why I would have quite liked Ika-chan to be center is because I think one of the things that has made Nogizaka quite powerful is the
hmm
fact that there have been quite a lot of members who might not have been first choice for center, but for who center was a possibility, so they kept working hard.
hmm That's true.
I think it's quite important to keep that up. So I would quite like to see people like Ika-chan center more.
hmm
I don't want it to just be. I don't want the center position to just alternate between Ika-chan and Asuka.
hmm
Sorry, not Ika-chan and Asuka. Mayan and Asuka.
Yeah.
Pretty big mistake I just made there. Please forgive me, anyone who's listening. Um, but I think that obviously, I don't think anyone's actually inherently disappointed with Asuka being center in and of itself.
Yeah, I can
And
imagine that.
and not having heard the single, it's quite possible that at the end of the day, the single is going to suit Asuka a lot more than it would have suited Ika-chan. We can't
hmm
say until we've heard it, but that is possible as well.
That's true. Another thing I quite like about this is that Kijang and Kubo both made it to the second row.
Yeah,
So
well, I was just about to say this. Yeah,
Mhm.
they're both members who had a hard time and they had to, take a break from the group for however long.
Mhm.
But they're back, and I'm really happy to see both of them back, and I'm really happy to see that management obviously still um, rates them.
Hmm.
Because I think it would have been quite easy for them to come back and for management to just stick them in the third row again.
Yeah. And Kijang in particular is getting a lot of like magazine shooting these days, so you can really tell that she's having a decent comeback. She's not just struggling to make an impact after returning. And same for Kubo actually. She gets to go on several shows and several collaboration projects, so it's good to see both of them returning to form and having a prominent role in the new senbatsu.
Yeah, and that's where they should be, because I think one of the things that has kind of dispirited me about 48 over the last couple of years is I have seen members fall out of favour and then never be able to get back in again. Even if that's kind of where they probably should be. So like, I am quite glad that, obviously management has just kind of looked at the situation and they thought, here are two members who, with all these members graduating, it's just incredibly unwise for us to try and sideline them, just because they had some time off. So I'm really happy to see them back. Also, I'm happy to see, like on a personal level, I'm very, very happy to see Takayama Kazumi back in the first row for the second time. It's not the first time. I've seen a couple of people slightly confused about this. It is the second time for Kaz, and I think it's a good thing because, I think that there are certain members who've been in the group for a long time, who still have a lot to give the group. We are in a situation where we're transitioning over from old Nogizaka to new Nogizaka, but I think that a lot of the old first gen members have a lot of experience and they've got a lot to give. So I'd be quite happy to see members like this time it's Kaz. Like, I think in the future, if it was Reika or Matsun or people like that who were filling in on the first row, I think I'd be quite happy with that. Because there's enough space in the first row for Mayan, Asuka, Ika-chan, a couple of second gens, and one first gen who, hasn't been the biggest face of the group but's contributed a lot. I quite like to see that.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't totally blame the people for being confused seeing Katsumi in the first row, because, although she's been in the first row before, it has been a long time. So some people might simply not be aware of it happening before. And even if it did happen, it is a rare occurrence. So I don't totally blame people for being a little bit surprised. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't mean like she's graduating or anything. It's just a normal thing. And as you said, it had happened before, and now that there's more space for people to move around, hopefully something we can see more.
Yeah, talking about Kaz graduating, as a fan, I do have to acknowledge the fact that Kazumin is probably one of management's preferred members. She's one of their favoured members. So I think that if she graduates, she probably will get something more than just being in first row again. In the sense that I think she'll probably get a small grad concert.
Probably.
Not a big one, but I think she'll probably get a small one, because she has been quite important for the group and management likes her. So I think if she graduates, she will get more than just first row for a single.
I also imagine she might get either a solo song or she'll get to center a B-side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of third row, there's 3 members that made it for a second time that are from Virgin. There being Denjang, Nenka, and Lydia. In particular, Lydia and Denjang made it from last single, so this is the second consecutive time they're in senbatsu, and Nenka, this is the second time since Chikochu. And yeah, I'm happy to see them do well, but I had to say I would have preferred if they swap Lanze with any one of the 3 of them, and maybe even swap one of them with like Nenaji or Yuna, for example.
Yeah, I'm, I think on a personal level, I'm quite I'm quite pleased to see in particular Rentan again. because I think Rentan has lots and lots of potential. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's quite good that she's continuing in.
Mm-hmm.
I like Lydian a lot, although I kind of think maybe you have got a point. Maybe instead of Lydian, we could have had Ranze.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally like Lenka the most out of the three too. Although she is the youngest, so I mean it's never easy to be deciding senbatsu, but I guess my fear is that a long time ago how Himeka said she wished Nanze can kind of be taking on her mantle.
Mm.
And one of the fear, and I think I'm not the only one, there's a few other people who are Nanze fans, and their fear is that somehow she will also take up that character of being neglected, of usually being put in under, despite the fact that you have handshake cell that exceed a lot of the people that are in senbatsu frequently. And none they do have higher HSL, at least based on the last few album and singles compared to some of the third roars. So, but on the flip side, she's now way like the most prominent member in unders right now. So being under center and maybe being like the pillar, make her, if she's the pillar of the unders right now, that would be a no-brainer. And she is one of the more decent performer on stage. So there is some logic to keeping her around. But yeah, hopefully this is not something that will be a regular occurrence, that she'll always be put in their back despite her popularity and her capability.
Yeah, but like on a more positive note, this is the first single for one of the second gen members who, probably should have debuted quite a long time ago, and that's Midia has finally made her senbatsu debut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good to see Midia again.
We have sort of talked about how we would like to see all of second gen in senbatsu at least once. So I'm pleased to see Midia in there, and I'm also pleased to see Tama-chan in there for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good to see. I think third gen is almost all in, right? There's probably Leno and Christie who haven't been in, but that's it, right?
Yeah.
And for second gen, there's Yuna and Nachi, so it's possible we can have them all in within the next single or two, and hopefully that'll happen. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, with members graduating, and I think we're probably going to see another couple graduating fairly soon. It just seems to be the way things are going at the moment. I would really, really like to see Jenna and Renachi finally make their senbatsu debut, especially Jenna, because I feel like Jenna has really progressed a lot as an idol.
Mm-hmm.
She's not received much from management, but I do think she really stands out. I always liked her, but I think she stands out a lot more now than she used to. Like, I think she's changed quite a lot in the last year or so. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I think I am happy with the senbatsu. I don't think we're ever going to be in a situation where we're going to be 100% satisfied. But we have seen a couple of members come in for the first time. We've seen some members, appearing for the second time and starting to make a name for themselves. And we've also seen members coming back and being embraced back into the group again. So overall, I'm actually very satisfied with it.
Yeah, I agree with Yuna standing out more these days. The Jikochu produced performance where members get to choose their own song and choose a member they want to appear on with. And Yuna appeared with Hinachima for a production from Wakatsuki. And I was a little bit shook, you know what I mean? Like, Yuna was really good there. She danced really well, and I mean, not to sag off Higuchi, but I think she was definitely the better dancer among the two. And
yeah, well, this is the benefit of having members in unders, is they really do practice a lot more.
Yeah.
So it's quite often, we do get this case where unders members come in and actually, when they're actually on stage, they outperform the regular senbatsu members.
That's true.
So,
Okay. hmm
are we done talking about senbatsu?
I think so. I have ever said everything I want to say.
Right, so there's a couple of things we forgot about last week, which I'd like to bring up.
hmm
There's a couple of things. Is Kawago P appeared in a music video for a group called Nana Iro, and the song is
hmm
called Lamp.
hmm
So this is basically Kawago P as a model, I think, effectively.
hmm hmm
You know, she plays her part in the story music video for this song.
hmm
So yeah, like it's nice. It's nice to see Kawago P getting some work.
hmm
And if you're a fan of her, she looks very cute in the video. So yeah, look it up, I think, if you're a fan of her.
hmm
And the other thing I wanted to talk about is Minimin is the new Nogizaka no No presenter at the radio show,
hmm
which I think I wish I could understand Japanese a bit better because I can follow stuff, but listening to people talk over extended periods of time is still quite difficult for me. So I can't really listen to Nogizaka's radio. It's kind of too effort intensive.
hmm
But if I could, you know, like it would be really, really nice to listening to Miniman's voice for an hour or so because it's so soft and relaxing.
hmm
So, you know, that is good news for anyone who likes falling asleep to the radio. Because her voice is lovely. So, I'm all for that.
Actually, one of the things I like to do before I sleep is just to open and play showroom, and like showroom does that for me.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
to fall asleep. And yeah, I think one other thing to mention about Nogizaka no No is that it's been around for like a long time, like 5 years, maybe 6.
Yeah.
It's been around for the majority of Nogizaka's existence, and I think it's a good platform to train members hosting skill. Like a lot of various members went on and they got to practice being a radio host. And I think it's an invaluable experience, and I'm very happy to see Minami getting this chance to host it.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it also shows how lucky we are as Nogizaka fans because AKB radio shows are getting cancelled left and right. But we still have Nogizaka no No, so I think it does show that, you know, these things are finite, so it's good to enjoy the fact they exist while they still exist.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
The next thing I'd like to talk about a little bit is we talked about the principal stages on the last episode. Just wanted to give a little update. I think, unfortunately, we jinxed Hayakawa Saylor, didn't we?
Kind of. Since we talked about it last time, she's been on a losing streak 4 times in a row. Fortunately, she ended that, finally winning her 5th attempt at Romeo. And that brings me to another point, which is I think Hayakawa might simply not be that good at the Romeo role, because if you look at her previous winning streak.
Oh, is that what's happening? She's been going for Romeo and failing.
Yes. So so she was on a winning streak of 8, for example, right? And during that winning streak, she'd gone for Romeo twice, and both of these times it was relatively easy win for her because one of the times she had no competition, so she just ran automatically. The other time she ran against Yakubo, which unfortunately is not a very good performer. Yakubo only won once so far. So the 2 Romeo victory Hayakawa won earlier were relatively easy. But since then, someone suggested to me that she's trying to win every role 3 times because she already won Julia 3 times and others 3 times. So she was trying to get Romeo for the 3rd time, but that 3rd time was particularly hard every time she faced competition that were significantly more challenging than the previous 2 she tried.
Yeah,
and,
so I guess Hayakawa Saylor Ikemen status denied, I guess.
Yeah, she had to work on the Ikemen-ness that she's trying to gun for. On the other side, though, Kaki is catching up and is now equal with her in the amount of time they run. But Kaki is an opposite problem. Like, she tried Juliet 5 times. She gone for Juliet 5 times, and she failed all of them.
So yeah, Kaki Ikemen status granted, isn't it?
Yes,
I think.
but on the flip side, what do you call this? Kanojo status?
Yeah.
Kaki can, like, she haven't run Juliet even once. All the other times she run is Romeo and others, mostly Romeo. So
Oh yeah,
I was joking.
this is basically, if people haven't been watching it, there's
Mm-hmm.
3 roles. There's Romeo, there's Juliet, and there's everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, if you win the role of everyone else, you just play all the roles who aren't Romeo or Juliet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But also doing well is Sayaka. And
Yes.
Sayaka, despite being the sort of like short-haired, energetic member, has won Juliet 4 times in a row now.
Yes. She's really good at Juliet. She run Juliet. Actually, only run like 6 times, which is actually one of the higher amount compared to everyone else, the third highest in fact. But of those 6 times she run, 5 times are Juliet. So she's really good at a Juliet role.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, we were talking last time about Mayu doing badly.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mayu still hadn't been picked when we were talking about this last week, but she's doing quite well now, isn't she?
She has 3 runs, which is pretty decent. And beside Mayu, the other 2, Sakura also runs, but only once so far, unfortunately. And poor Shibata hasn't run any role yet.
Yeah, Yuna has still not won.
Yes, Yuna have 2 more attempts to go at it, and if she don't win her last 2 stage play, she will be what some people are saying YAC. YAC standing for Yoshida Ayano Christie, which is sad, but also very funny. Unfortunately, like Christie was the only person last time in the Virgin Principle to not win any role, and that's why YAC turn came about. So
I mean,
some people are saying that if Shibata don't win the next 2 times, she'll be YAC'd.
I do think you could kind of tell when Yuna was in when Yuna was appearing in the first couple of episodes of Nogichu. I think you could tell that she wouldn't do well at this. I think she doesn't have the personality to do stage play. She's just not. She's not extroverted enough, is she?
Maybe. I mean, she doesn't strike me as being as shy as Momoko when she first appeared on Nogichu. But Momoko was fine on. Okay, not fine, but Momoko was better on the stage. She did center the first Virgin song after all. So yeah, maybe Shibata's not as good at stage. I'm not too sure.
I mean, I feel like I don't know anything about Yuna's acting skill, but I kind of think that if this was TV, I think she'd stand a much better chance. But I feel like, she's not big enough to be on stage, I don't think.
Possibly.
So yeah, I guess it's not good if they can't do well in Principal, but I guess it's also not the end of the world because it's not the same thing as being an idol. You can still do okay as an idol and sort of fail at stage plays.
That's true. Like it would be nice to be able to do well in stage play, but it's just one aspect of being an idol. And for Nogi, it's just one aspect of Nogi's like strong suit beside modeling and other stuff, of course. So I mean, it's not another role, but it's still kind of sad to see.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we've covered everything about the principal stages, but I am looking forward to seeing who out of Hayakawa and Kaki ends up, winning the contest in inverted commas.
It's a pretty epic rivalry, and it reminds me of the rivalry from the third gen principle, because if you look at it, the one that won the most was Kubo with 11 win, but right behind her is Mitsuki with 10 win, and they were far ahead. Yeah,
and it's funny because Kubo Kubo is doing well in her stage play appearances, and Sookie is now doing well on TV.
Yeah, so you can kind of tell the impact of that principal performance thing.
So yeah, talking about a couple of things that members have been appearing in recently. Today, some of the members appeared in Tokyo Girls Collection again. And I think it was Ashu, Mayan, Minimin, and Momoko. Is that right, or have I missed anyone?
No, I think that's the 4, yeah.
Yeah, and I was talking with you about this on Twitter, and I think we both agree that Ashu is really, really good at the walk, isn't she?
Yes.
She really knows how to sell the walk.
Yeah, I always think that, since a long time ago, but sometimes I'm just so odd, I guess. If you look at the photo from Model Press or Tokyo Pop Line, or whatever, and those news sites usually have a bunch of photo, and you can tell she's good at walking even from the photos. She looked like a model, she looked the parts, and it's very obvious if you compare her to some of the weaker Sakamichi models. For example, I think a lot of Hinata member are not scattered yet. I mean, they're new, so I'm not blaming them, but if you compare their walk to Asuka's obviously way, way ahead when it comes to catwalk. So, yeah, that's something.
The great thing is she does it really, really well technically, but while she's doing it, she still has the idol aura because she sort of she waves to her fans and she sort of blows them kisses and stuff. But she doesn't really break her stride at all while she's doing that.
Yeah, and the fans love it there. So it's a very good blend, and she's managed to find their balance between being someone that will please the fan, but also being someone that can showcase their clothing very well in the walk. So Asuka is very talented, and she's really good at this.
Whereas, I think Mayan, when she appears, it's I think Mayan is actually doing a lot more fan service than Ashu is.
Yeah,
Mayan, I kind of actually feel is I kind of feel in a way she's less modelling and she's more kind of playing to the audience.
Yeah, I can see that sometimes. Yeah.
This time when she came out, if people go and look for gifs of it, the moment when she pulls her sunglasses off is godlike, as ever.
I was kind of expecting Majin to come out and say, "Do you believe in God? Do you want to see God?" before she pulls up her sunglasses.
And Minimin, as ever, kind of has a really beastly aura to her.
Yeah.
And really, really powerful. I think I do kind of agree that, on a technical level, Asuka is the one who walks best. And as a result, I think she might be the actual best model because she's the one who sort of actually shows the clothes off the best. But, if you ever want, one of those models who just has, an incredibly powerful aura around them, Minimin pretty much always manages to pull that off.
Yeah. And it helps that she's way taller than the other Nogis. And, yeah, you can really tell that, she does have that aura, I agree, and it showcased her very well during those walks.
I think Minimin is always the one who gets the best fit out of the clothes. Although, this time Mayan had quite a sort of simple dress you can't really fit particularly badly.
True. I thought Mayan's clothing was kind of retro, it's an 80s kind of thing, which is kind of nice. Yeah, I kind of like it.
So moving on, we've also recently been having the Fanta ads featuring Yoda, Ashu, Sookie, Ika-chan, Momo, and Manatsu. So I think these are interesting because, I think it's an effective marketing campaign for Fanta, but there's been a lot of material that's been produced and put out in much the same way that there are for the mouse adverts. And really, it feels quite a lot like SNS coming through the back door with all the interactions between members. So this is interesting for a couple of reasons, because it does make me wonder a little bit whether Nogizaka are kind of quietly breaching the kind of embargo on SNS by allowing companies that they're advertising for to create this kind of material which shows interaction between members. And I also think it's interesting because a lot of the other campaigns which have got Nogizaka do kind of play up to the relationship between members quite a lot. And I wonder whether that's actually part of the advertising. Because if you're trying to sort of like create this, like aura of, like, how do I put it, community? I feel like it's not quite the right word, but I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. But if you're sort of looking for an advert where what you're doing feels like a group thing, it is quite good to sort of show the interactions and friendships between these members. Because, like the members who are kind of interacting in the clips for this ad campaign are the people you would expect to be interacting in that group of members.
Yeah, I think those companies, when they're doing their marketing, they are playing to their character Nogi fandom, I guess. Like wanting Nogi to advertise for your product is kind of different from like just finding a random big name actor or actress. Like you don't expect a lot of interactive marketing from someone like, I don't know, Abe Hiroshi or Yui Aragaki. They're just a big name and there's recognition and there's a lot of people that like them, but they don't like them to the extent that idol fans follow their idol, right? There's not the expectation of there being like a social media buzz with a lot of interactive element to it. And I think these companies are catching up to the fact that if you want to get idol fans to buy their product, it's not just like showing their face, although that probably helped a lot already. But if you can showcase the idol, see them doing things, I think that entice the fans even more. And yeah, I think they're catching up to that, and we're seeing that from a lot of different companies.
Yeah, because it's interesting because they're using the kind of things that would usually appeal to idol fans to presumably sell it to the general public, because I think there's a lot of Nogizaka fans, but I don't think there's enough Nogizaka fans to, like turn around the fortunes of a particular company, if you know what I mean.
That's true.
But yeah, as a fan, I'm really, really enjoying all this.
Yeah, it's good. It's like extra content, and it's like, and not only are we getting extra content, they're getting a good paycheck. So
yeah. Plus, the uniforms are cute as well.
That's true. That's always a nice plus.
Bonus. Also, Nogizaka, somewhat unsurprisingly, going to be promoting High School Quiz again. And it's really interesting to see how Nogizaka's presence in High School Quiz has grown over the years. Because I think basically it came about because Kaz is interested in quizzes. Kaz sort of like became involved in High School Quiz, and now it's kind of spread to the entire group and it becoming a yearly thing now.
Pretty much. This is Nogi's 4th year promoting High School Quiz, and as far as I can see, I think it's based on a news article, so it should be true. No other group or person or individual have been promoting High School Quiz for 4 years in a row. So it is quite an achievement, I guess. And it's good to see Nogi being involved in something that is annually reoccurring and something that's festive and, quiz. I like quiz, so it's always good to see.
Plus it is nice to see not only that they have an ongoing participation in something, but it's something which is also quite worthy as well. Because it's good that high schoolers know about stuff.
Yeah, and the way they have these quiz are also quite fun. It's not just you there hitting the button as soon as you can. It's like very physically interactive, if you know what I mean. Like if you look at the videos of High School Quiz, they have to do all these activities to answer to get to answer the question. So it's not just a good quiz show. It's something more fun, and I quite like that.
Yeah. So definitely pleased to see them do that again. There's another thing which I probably should have mentioned immediately after Tokyo Girls Collection, but it slipped my mind. Is Den-chan and Yoda have now joined Asuka as models for the company GRL. And previously, Asuka was working with Na-chan on this. I don't know whether Na-chan has quit or been let go. It's kind of hard to say. Although, like Na-chan has kind of like been dialing down on her modelling activities over the last couple of years. So it might just be that she wasn't interested in doing it again. But there's, like a couple of interesting things about it. Like it's good to see third gen members being on the radar of companies who are looking to advertise stuff. And also, like the photos from GRL were always really, really good for Asuka and Na-chan.
Yeah. The biggest surprise for me and for some of the other fans I interacted with is to see Den-chan being chosen.
Yeah.
I mean, Yoda is not a surprise. I mean, she's not the tallest, most model-like member, but she's very popular.
Yeah, but this is a magazine thing. So, when you're doing shoots in magazines, all it needs to do is look appealing. You don't really need to have someone particularly tall because you can warp the shots however you want, really.
Yeah. So it's not a surprise for us to see Yoda there, and it fit her, to be honest. Like the GL line of clothing suit her well.
I also think that companies know at this point if they're going to use Nogizaka as advertising. They know that Yoda and Asuka work well together.
That's true. But yeah, Yoda and Asuka are not a surprise. I think most people, at least the people I talked to, were very surprised to see Den-chan. She's not unpopular. She's doing pretty well these days. She's beating a lot of virgin in handshake style. But yeah, like if you ask people beforehand, like, oh, GRL is gonna choose a new model, it's gonna be for virgin, most people are probably not gonna say Den-chan. They're gonna say like Momoko, Meizawa, and
I think
Kubo.
I think the other thing which is slightly surprising about the choice of Den-chan is the fact that like Den-chan doesn't. I'm not sure Den-chan can do moody at all.
True. Yeah.
So, like as a model, but I also think this is interesting because it feels as though GRL, I think, were very satisfied with their collaboration with Nogizaka and they want to do it again, which is a good sign, I think.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, it's good to see Nogi continuing to work with GRL, and it's good to see Den-chan doing well too. But it was a surprise to us.
Yeah. Like another member who, like unexpectedly got a good job was recently graduated Ito Karin, who is now I'm not sure what exactly her role is. But in Japanese it says friendship ambassador for the game of shogi. Like I'm slightly surprised about this because Karen stopped working on her shogi TV series. So I thought she wasn't going to do any more work related to it. But yeah, like this is great. I'm really happy to see her get this.
Yeah, it seems to me like she will continue to be working on shogi related projects because last time we mentioned the Asahi commercial she got, Asahi beer that is, and it's also shogi related. So I think she managed to build quite a impressive portfolio, at least when it comes to being renowned in the shogi realm. So it feels like she'll be doing more shogi related stuff. So despite her letting go of that shogi show,
it feels as though she may have let it go in order to do more things in the same vein.
Kind of. It feels like she's passing the baton, but she's still like running, just not for this show, but doing other stuff in this area.
Yeah. Another member who got a job was Kaz. Kaz is going to be presenting. There's a new literature award for the Reiwa
Mm-hmm.
era, and
Mm-hmm.
Kaz is going to be presenting this.
Mm-hmm.
I did jokingly on Twitter say they should just give her the award. But the thing is I mean, if you're not going to be nominated for the award, like, this is still actually a great way for her to maintain her profile.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the literary world, because I would quite like to see her write further books.
True.
So it is good PR for her as an author going forward, and it also kind of like, it really does seem like the kind of project that she'll actually enjoy as well.
Mm-hmm.
It is really satisfying to see the members getting to do things you actually think will be fun for them.
Yeah, that reminds me actually. Recently I forgot which particular manga magazine it was, but there's going to be a new series of manga on this manga magazine, and it's going to be Nogi related.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and the reason I'm reminded of that, because I was kind of thinking that it would be kind of cool to see Card's novel get a manga adaptation.
Yeah.
And that reminded me of that manga thing.
Well, I think if you're an English-speaking fan, if Kaz's novel gets a manga adaptation, that would be brilliant, because people actually scan and translate manga, and people don't translate books.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that new manga series is going to be Noki related, so maybe they should just snatch Kaz's book and do several chapters on that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, also, recently all the members have been out promoting Imaga Omoide ni Naru Made, the upcoming album. That's been really nice to see. There's just been some really great shots from that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that kind of really comes home to me is that there's so many places they're at promoting now.
Mm-hmm.
Just like hundreds of different locations, like different companies, like all over the place. I mean, it's really, really big when they launch an album now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's always fun to see them going around in their small groups. Like, you always see that when they release an album or a single, but it's been such a long time since the last single. It's been a while to see them going top down all over the nation and promoting the album. So it's kind of fun to see, especially when they release those photos they do when they go around, and you see them being all dramatic, especially like Kubo's group. I think Kubo was
yeah.
Way. And
who was your favorite group?
Yeah, it's actually the Kubo group.
Kubo group.
Kubo, Way, and Maijun. Like they're always like taking these very dramatic photo, and Kubo's like looking like her or Joe-sama, and these two were like being her servants, and yeah, they're having a lot of fun, so that's good to see.
Yeah, and I also think that like Matsun and Reika, lots of really good photos from them as well.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think thank you PR department.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
I think you wanted to talk about the Jikochu produced material that was on the Manatsu no Zenkoku Tour DVD a bit.
Oh yes, it's really good. In fact, for the fourth album, the song itself actually weren't that interesting. A lot of people feel like the songs aren't nearly as impressive as the last few albums. I'm talking about the new song, obviously. But I think the bonus content, which is mostly the Jikochu produced content, they're really, really good.
Yeah, and I just want to, just to make sure that I know what we're talking about here, Manatsu no Zenkoku Tour is the national tour from last year in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
And I think Jikochu Produce is certain songs during the tour were produced by members, so the members got to sort of choose things like the costume and what members were going to appear and perform the song that they were producing. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and this is the footage of that.
Yeah, they can be a bit simple, or they can be complex depending on who's producing. For example, Momoko produced, she simply choose to sing Yasashi Dowa with Asuka, but some members are obviously a lot more dramatic, and those are quite fun. For example, we saw Ma Yang and Ma Jun going like, "Do you believe in God? Do you want to see God?" And then Ma Yang appearing as God, and then force choking Ma Jun for taking a blurry photo of her and that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, so there's a lot of fun stuff going on, and I really appreciate it, and I think a lot of people enjoy it too. The other fun thing about it is that they're performing songs you usually don't see people perform. Like, for example, Ma Yang and Ma Jun were performing what's it called? Live Kami, I think. Kami Live? Kami? You know, this is our second gen song, so you will never usually see Ma Yang and Ma Jun performing it, but because they like the song and they want to make this whole gag about Ma Yang being a god, they chose the song. And like I mentioned, Momoko chose to sing with Asuka, and you usually will never see these two sing this song alone. So there's a lot of songs that are performed by members you don't usually see performing them, and I thought that was really, really fun, and they usually try to add some special elements to it, like, for example, Ikujang not pretend, but like they kind of, is it parody? I don't know what to call this, but they imitated Baby Meadow, and they have this Nogi Meadow singing Komori with Hatsuki and Lilian, and that was so fun.
It's a homage.
Yeah, that's
parody, or like pastiche.
Yeah, I think
parody is negative, but pastiche is positive.
Yeah, that's a better term. Yeah. And they did such a good job of it. Like, they even have this fake, this imitated logo. That's like imitated.
Lilian really looks like she could actually be a Baby Metal member. Mm-hmm. Like, she does feel like their backup or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. And it's just great to see all these fun performances. And I can go on forever, but there's so many of them. So I will probably stop now. But it's definitely something everyone should take a look at.
Yeah, so we're just going to move on a little bit and talk about the various dramas and plays that members are going to be appearing in. I think I'll start off with, like, I think I owe Video Girl a slight apology, because yeah, it kind of like we've been hearing like more information about it, and it actually seems to turn out that Zookie's character is actually evil, and she's sort of like come to have a negative influence on the protagonist's life. So it does actually seem to be a slightly more interesting project than we were anticipating. But I will say that I think my negative comments about anime and manga protagonists stand. I totally stand by those comments. Like, maybe I've kind of maybe I've been a little bit unsympathetic towards the series itself. But yeah, I stand by that.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think I haven't seen enough, but so far it looks like the male protagonist is still going to be those brand type. That's not too interesting, but the series definitely have a more interesting, or at least this particular work have a more interesting concept than what we have come to expect. So, yeah.
I never watched any of Zookie's last drama, the one with the hospital, where she was a nurse or something like that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I've seen some of the clips of this, and you know, I saw her in Zombie. I actually think she is quite a good actor.
Yeah, I think so too. For comparison's sake, Video Girl I, which not I say acting, I think Mitsuki definitely seems to be a better actress compared to Nanase.
I think especially if you let Zookie chew the scenery a little bit, she is really, really good at that.
Mm-hmm. I think she's also kind of good at this type of role. Like there's another thing, you're correct in that this is still like a bit thirsty, but I think Mitsuki's kind of good at these somewhat flirty type, I guess. Like if you look at for example, you look at the Jikochu produced production where Mitsuki performed with Hatsuki. There's this one scene that's on Twitter where she's kind of moving her hand behind Hatsuki's back, and it's kind of alluring, I guess. She's
hugging her in the way people do when they're moving to kiss, isn't she?
Yeah, something like that. Like, I feel like Mitsuki.
Which I kind of feel is kind of their relationship. Like the double Zookie ship is underrated. It really is.
Yeah, we need to see more content from them. But yeah, back to Mizuki. I think she's really good at this type of role, and so she's kind of shine in Video Girl Mai. But yeah, I wasn't expecting her to be. I mean, I don't know what to expect really, but I didn't expect her to be someone that's like a negative influence that's trying to make their guys that she's interacting with do bad things like that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And talking about Hazuki, Hazuki is going to be in a stage play based on it's a manga, isn't it, called Koji Koji?
Yes.
And I don't know anything about this, but I do know that it was written by the same woman who did Chibi Maruko.
Yes. Kochi Kochi seems to be a manga by Sakura Momoko, I think that's her name, which most famously is known as the author that drew Chibi Maruko. And yeah, Chibi Maruko is one of those iconic series where if you're Japanese, you'll definitely know it. And if you're in places like Taiwan, which also broadcasts Chibi Maruko a lot, you will definitely know the series as well. So it's a very iconic series. So it's really good to see Hazuki get to praise a work from someone as iconic as Sakura Momoko.
Yeah, so there's that. But you know, like if when I'm looking at the artwork, it's really bright and optimistic looking, and I actually think that I don't know who Hazuki is playing in this. But I feel like in terms of tone, she's perfect for it.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Kochi Kochi, I don't know. I don't know anything about this work. I only know about Chibi Maruko. But yeah, it definitely fit, the atmosphere fit Hazuki really well.
So, yeah, that's good. You know, like I'm definitely pleased to see her getting work. And also, Yuna has been cast in Murder on the Orient Express, which is a stage play which will be coming up in like 3 months' time, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
So yeah, like this is really good. This isn't a musical. You know, it definitely looks like an actual stage play similar to Three Sisters. So you know, like as well as Jenna's stage play career going well, it also looks like I think she's choosing roles which, like, on a personal level, I would want to go and watch.
Yeah, Murder on the Orient Express is definitely something very worthwhile. And do we know what role she's playing right now?
I don't. I think if you look at the billing, she's about 4th or 5th on the bill.
I see.
Pretty much everyone who's not Hercule Poirot in Murder on the Orient Express is kind of a secondary character anyway. But it definitely seems like quite a decent role. Probably not as good as the one she got in Three Sisters, because there's 3 main protagonists in it and she was one of them.
Yeah.
But definitely, based on the billing, it definitely seems to be quite a good role, I think.
It'd be so fun to see her play Hercule Poirot, though.
I would actually really love to see. I would definitely love to see her wearing the Hercule Poirot moustache.
Yeah, it'd be so iconic.
So yeah, like I'm really pleased with her because this seems like a great job.
And
I'm a big fan. And last bit of news about dramas is I think Marianne's new series Ore no Scotto is going to start today.
It started, actually.
It started, right.
And
I don't know. This series has raised a lot of questions because, for one thing, like the title feels like some kind of weird ero manga, but it's a comedy. But it also seems like it might be like based on things like the title and the publicity shots. Feels like it might be quite transphobic, which I'm not particularly hot about, but I have to admit I really don't know. If that was a reality, I think I'd be a little bit disappointed, but I don't really know whether that's the kind of thing it is. So I think I'm going to have to check it out to see how I feel about this whole series.
I don't know if it's transphobic, and I haven't watched it yet, but based on the information I have read, it's about the teacher, the main protagonist teacher, which is okay, I don't know exactly what they're identified as, but basically because, you know, the protagonist isn't your usual teacher, right?
Yeah.
Their students have a negative reaction to that, but it seems like throughout the series that will be overcome. The teacher will prove to be like a good teacher, and that I think the idea of the drama is that we shouldn't judge people.
I think there seemed to be something about the crossover between gay man and transvestism, which seemed a little bit problematic. But like obviously, as I said, I haven't seen it, so I don't want to go too mad.
Mm-hmm.
If it is dodgy, I will go mad because that's the kind of contentious person I am. But
no, it's fair. Japan isn't like they need more education in this respect, and if you look at the drama, oftentimes they can still be disappointing. I think it's fair to be critical of these.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I think, although I feel exactly the same way about TV in this country as well. So
that's fair. Yeah. I have seen some comments on it. I don't know whether it's problematic or not based on those, but it seems like some people are saying it's boring.
Right. It being boring is never good, yeah. Yeah,
boring is not good. But although Ma Young seems to not be bored, like there's a few promotional video where Ma Young's, they show Ma Young acting, and she, we know Ma Young, she have a very low, like she's very easily amused, she's very easily, like she can easily laugh at stuff.
She is very easily amused, isn't she?
Yes. So there's this teacher, this other guy teacher, and he's probably saying some sort of joke, and she shouldn't laugh, but she can't help, and she laughs, and it's funny to see her laugh. But I'm just thinking it's funny that if she finds this funny, but then the viewer, for my Oshi, by the way, is like, oh, this drama is kind of boring, then she's laughing at stuff that people find boring. I find that pretty funny, to be honest.
Yeah. So. I think we've covered everything about the dramas. I think the long story short, I need to stop overreacting to dramas that I've never watched before. I think that's probably the takeaway bit of information with this episode. But have you got anything else you wanted to discuss? Because I've covered everything that I've wanted to talk about in this episode.
I think I pretty much said everything except that I just remember something. Someone told me that it was a missed opportunity for Murder on the Orient Express to not have Christie in it, because the author, Agatha Christie.
Yeah. They should have. Well, they should have at least put Christie in like some role, so they can have double Christie on the banner. Yeah, no, you're right. It's a missed opportunity. That.
Yeah, like passenger number 5 or something. I don't know. Anything would work.
I honestly, like, I always call her Ayano, so I actually started to forget about her, strange outlier kind of middle name, even though Japanese people don't have middle names, to make it even stranger.
Yeah, and like there's not even like a reason that make a lot of sense for it. Like, she isn't born.
Do you not know the backstory to this?
Yeah, she mentioned once. I think she mentioned on Nokiego there's a few episodes of Nokiego where all the virgins went on there and they did like a sport competition kind of thing, and the teacher, obviously seeing the Christie name, was curious, asked her about it, and she like, were you born abroad, or do you have an extended stay abroad or something? Like, no, it's none of that. It's just that her parents, I think her parents like Hawaii or something, and they give her that name for some reason. It's totally random. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I'm pretty sure her parents were thinking about settling in Hawaii permanently, so they wanted to give her a name that local people would be able to say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why she was named Yoshida Ayano Christie, because the idea was that English speakers would be able to call her Christie and Japanese people would be able to call her Ayano.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, they actually moved back to Japan fairly soon after she was born. So her middle name never actually became useful in any meaningful way.
That reason would make a lot more sense. It would be a lot more reasonable as a backstory. But yeah, it's not like obvious why she's called Christie. But it's a missed opportunity to not put her in Orient Express.
But yeah, on that note, we should have had double Christie and we didn't. So
Shame.
yeah, it's goodbye with regrets about there being no W Christie from me, John.
And from Rusty.